Welcome to Property Deconstructed with Mark Erichello from Master Advocates Real Estate Services and Buyer's Agent, and I'm Pat Panetta from Tell Your Story Media. And Property Deconstructed, Mark, is all about property, and if you're buying, investing, renting, thinking about the lifestyle, want to build your wealth of property, this is the show for you because we bring in the experts.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Pat. Great to see you again. More of a collective wisdom as our point of difference. So not just sharing some tips and tricks, but also collective wisdom and lessons or experience learned from ourselves and our industry associates and colleagues. Some of the great guests that we'll be bringing on.
And somebody who sort of lives a lot in your world as a buyer's advocate who joins us now, Andrew Date, the founder and director of Industry Insider, Buyers and Vendors Advocacy and Property Management. And Andrew joins us in the studio. G'day, Andrew.
Morning, Pat. Morning, Mark. Thank you for having me today.
Thanks for coming, Andrew. Yeah, great to have you here. Long-time friend and industry colleague or associate as well. Like-minded, and we've been around similar career paths, back from original sales background and then moved into advocacy at a similar time. That bond was there, and he's got specific areas of expertise across Melbourne too, so it's good to have him on.
Okay, so we can focus on different parts of Melbourne here because you both look after different sort of zones in a way, yeah?
Yeah, there's specialty areas, and both travel Melbourne and Victoria, but there's definitely specialty areas based on just years lived in a career and experience in certain pockets.
The advantages of using a buyer's advocate for buying and selling, should we start there, or maybe just talk to our guest about sort of his life and about the advantages of using someone like you, Andrew?
Thanks, Pat. People can sometimes get confused, a buyer's agent and a selling agent, but they are from the other sides of the world. The selling agent and auctioneer represent the seller in the specific role of selling property, whereas an independent buyer's agent or buyer's advocate is aligned with the buyer. You'll find most buyer advocates don't do huge volume. They're more specific on the clients they'll work with, where selling agents do really rely off a larger amount of volume of clients. Independent advice and really levelling the playing field to make it more transparent and favourable for the buyer, because I believe the real estate industry is heavily geared towards the seller.
Well, there you are, bringing in an expert because you guys do it day in, day out.
A great point Andrew mentioned there was being a little bit more focused on, rather than quantity, it's about the quality and time spent with individual clients and meeting their needs and giving them that advantage in the property market based on our skills and experience. And we're in interesting times. You know, I'm sure, Andrew, you've got a lot to share on your current perspective of the market and trends. I've seen some of your recent posts as well on the areas of the southeast and Bayside that you deal in.
It's fascinating. I've been in the industry for over a decade now, and I've never seen a market like we're seeing at the moment. It's clearly a two-speed property market. We have homes that are renovated, turnkey, performing quite well under competition in good locations. And then on the flip side to that, any kind of property that is compromised or is in need of major renovations and works is quite cold. It's a very price-sensitive market. We're coming off record low volume of property transactions across Australia now. During COVID, it boomed, but right now, a lot of people are just holding on and not really listing their properties for sale unless they urgently need to. So there's a supply and demand issue, and it's affecting the rental market and the buying and selling market.
We live in interesting times, you said there. I mean, I know it's all cycles, but very interesting from where I'm sitting, the Australian property market. It's full on.
Oh, look, it is. And historically, Southeast and Bayside, some of the areas where Andrew specialises, they've always been in a higher price point. We're seeing that when you use the term two-speed market. We're seeing that even in the north and northwest, where we're based in Essendon side, north side of the Yarra. Properties can be more affordable. You've still got $2, $3, $4, $5 million homes in the period style, larger homes, which a little bit's come off. But I'm still seeing that when you refer to properties that have not been renovated, that they need refurbishment or renovation, some of the other factors with the building industry, costs or supplies and materials and labour costs, or risk of companies and uncertainty going under. So unless it's a light refurbishment and there's some value add, or the way that people are looking long term, like their plan to hold, there's differences there as well on their financial position.
The uncertainty around the building industry, delays in trades, the cost of materials, that's certainly putting people on the back foot to take on major renovations, and that's why we find ourselves in a two-speed property market. Victorians especially, after all the uncertainty that we had during that 2-year COVID period, buyers now, if they're going to drop $1.5, $2, $3, $5 million on a property, they want certainty. They don't want to drop $3 million on a property and then have to spend another $1.5 million on a renovation. They'd rather pay the $3.5 million, get the keys, turn the door and move straight in, because no one wants uncertainty anymore.
Yes.
They want to know what they're buying. They want to move straight in.
So you help with that certainty in a way, yeah? So you check everything out, peace of mind. Is that the sort of point you're making there?
Well, yeah, feasibility-wise, we can help to a certain level and gather more affiliated experts as well if it's getting quotes and, you know, double-checking with their brokers and their financial or legal position as well in buying the entity or reading through contracts. But there is still some level of risk with acquiring property, and that's the risk Andrew's talking about. If they're not sure if the variation on building costs or contracts may blow out to an extra few $100,000 or an extra $1 million, depending on what happens with that industry.
Yeah, right,
so they might fight tooth and nail for the certainty of a turnkey. Finance might be another issue. If you've got cash and you can sit and buy and hold property, then it doesn't matter what the market's doing. If you're looking at building and you need finance for that, like knock down, rebuild, or you need renovation costs to be covered by finance, then there's risks there if there's a blowout in building costs.
Now, that phrase two-speed economy or market has come up a few times. So that's basically, in simple terms, there's people there who still have cash. They're okay to buy, so they're moving at a different speed to another bunch of people. Some people have money and some don't, and so we don't know which one we're tapping into.
Economy and property specific are quite different. So the economy is obviously clearly slowing, and the RBA are doing everything they can to slow it down with continuing to raise rates. But with the two-spread property market, the property specifics around the attributes. So if a property needs a renovation, it's not as in demand as something that's turnkey. Even buyers that are borrowing will stretch for properties that are turnkey, but buyers that are borrowing will not stretch for properties at the moment because of the uncertainty around building costs, delays, and the big elephant in the room is the RBA. The RBA have probably mishandled how they've made rates rise so dramatically over the last 12 months, and that's to cool the economy, and they're certainly doing that because all the numbers reflect a cooling economy. I think there's a lot of buyers out there looking, and they're just getting their ducks in a row, and as soon as they've got more certainty around where interest rates are heading or when interest rates stabilise, we could see the market take off quite quickly if rates pause or start to come back.
So there's always opportunities out there, isn't there? There's always opportunities when you get the right frame of mind.
Yeah, there are.
There'll be some certainty eventually when we sort of see how it all's going to level out. But right now, and you're looking for a property, you just look for the thing that suits you.
Well, you can get an expert to help you that might be familiar with certain parts of Melbourne or with the due diligence required to help you get to speed. If a property's on the market 4 or 5 weeks or off market, you've got a certain window to get your informed decision and due diligence. So that's where experience helps. But also, yes, there are opportunities. There's a vacuum and voids that can be filled by certain buyers. I think properties that need some refurbishment shouldn't be completely overlooked. Long term, we've got stronger than ever rental yields, which will keep rising with migration flowing in. Also, opportunity with low vacancy rates. So there's less risk from that aspect. And then there's discussions of taxes and things like that that may balance that, with uncertainty. But a few months of low interest rates or stable interest rates, that will boost confidence, like Andrew just mentioned.
The opportunities clearly is in that unrenovated space. 2 years ago when rates were 2% and money was cheap, properties that need renovating were high on everyone's agenda because they could buy and add value. Right now, that is the opportunity. If you can find a good asset in a very good suburb that needs renovating, if you can buy that under less competition, that's the type of property you should be buying right now. If you've got access to trades and you're not paying through the nose for materials, so like builders or people who have done a lot of renovations, if they've got experience, it's a perfect opportunity for them to capitalise on that softer demand side in that properties that need renovated space.
Thanks, mate. It's exciting to actually explore opportunities and get that due diligence done. I guess that's what we've got passion for in our role. What I love discussing with you is the marketplace as well. I think if it's okay with you to stay on for another episode, there's a lot to discuss. That would be fantastic.
Absolutely. And those changes are sort of hot in everybody's mind and lips right now, the changes to the state budget and all that sort of stuff.
That's what we'd love to talk about.
So wonderful work for this episode. Make sure you look at the list because this episode will roll into the episode 8, I think it is.
Yeah. Andrew's on for episode 8. We're in our infancy, but sharing a lot of wisdom, which is great.
Absolutely. So here we are, Property Deconstructed. Thank you for your time on this one, but we'll see you again in the next episode as we continue our series of podcasts here with Andrew Dade and Mark Ericallo. I'm Pat Panetta, and we'll see you soon on the next episode.